2023, a well-known UK tuner was prosecuted by the DVSA for fitting illegal aftermarket exhaust parts to a vehicle.
And unbeknownst to you, around 95% of you watching this video may have an illegal system on your car despite passing its MOT.
Yeah, pass.
Now, with 95% of you potentially running illegal systems, we're here today to show you why that might be the case. So today we're going to compare the different systems. Now, it's not necessarily your fault that you're running that. You do your research and you spend a lot of money on a system that you think's legal, but the MOT isn't the only regulation, and the MOT is only a safety test for your car, and it does an emissions check as well. But that doesn't necessarily make it legal, and we're here today with Milltek to teach you about what's legal, what's not, and why. So the DVSA have what they call their market surveillance unit, and that's exactly what it says on the tin. They look at all parts of the tuning industry to see what it is that's going on.
You would have heard on social media that there's a big name in the tuning industry that had a mystery shopper turn up to their business, and I'll tell you what happened now. This Fiesta ST turned up and they fitted a decap pipe to it. They then changed the ECU and as a result put a pop and bang map on it, and they allowed this customer in the Fiesta ST 180 to go out on the road in a now a legally set up vehicle. So Owen, why is doing something like that illegal?
Well, there's a number of points here. You know, they fitted a decap pipe, so that is no longer MOT compliant through the emissions, so that wouldn't pass. And then they fitted the pop and bang mat, which makes the vehicle louder, or the exhaust louder than it would have been when it left the factory. So there's two things there. But also they've allowed the customer to drive it away on the road. So they're supplying parts that are non-road legal on the car and allowing the customer to drive away. So a company like this is a manufacturer of the parts, and you can see behind me that these boxes are ready to be shipped out. Now, Milltek supply 96 different countries, and probably all 96 of those have got different legislation that govern what you can and can't do to your vehicle. So that's why here behind me we've got all these different types of exhaust, because they're all made for different markets and the different legislation that exists. Now, many of us enjoy taking our cars to the track, and Nordisch Life, or the Nürburgring, is hallowed ground when it comes to doing that. Now, if you think the rules are tight over here about modifying your car, wait till you get to Germany, because many people are getting unstuck by the rules that are over there. Now, Kev is going to explain to us some of those rules. Kev.
I'm Kev from Milltek Sport. We have a company over at the Nordisch Life, right next to the Nürburgring, and we sell our EC approved systems from there, which meet all German legislation. It is very different to the UK, as you say. If you take a car out to Germany, or if you modify a car in Germany, you need to have paperwork for every single modification that you do on that vehicle. If you don't have that and you get stopped by the side of the road,
A nice welcome to Germany.
You're going to have your car impounded and you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Misha, if you were asked, what is it like when a very overly modified car turns up to the Nürburgring, what are the police like when it comes to modifications?
They're very German about things, let's call it that way. They're quite difficult when it comes to modifications, and it's actually quite funny because there is such thing as called as a Vienna Convention on Moral Law from 1968, which allows basically all the countries or the citizens of the member states and the countries that have signed and ratified the convention to travel across the borders, and as long their car is legal in the state or in the country of the registration, it should be okay for the country that they're traveling to. So usually, according to that, citizens of the UK should have no problem. However, the practices over the last couple of years prove to be different. If you have a big wing, you will be asked to take it off because you might kill a pedestrian or a biker or injure someone. The same goes for exhausts, something that may be legal in UK or even any other country. The German police officer might say like, well, there is no way it's legal in your country. I don't believe that. Your car is impounded and will be maybe even shipped back to UK. And when it comes to the German registered cars, every single modification need to be in the papers, in documents. You need to have so-called TÜV approval, or you need to go, if you have a mod that does not have the so-called ABE, you need to go to the engineer for him to test it and qualify your mod as street legal. And a lot of things are actually not, like you cannot get them in the papers, such as seats with the ears, because they so-called restrict your visibility. I'm a race car driver and we race with seats with ears, and we need to be aware of what's happening around us. I have no problems looking in my mirrors, but apparently with a normal car you can have. So You guys in UK, I'm quite jealous of you. You have it very easy when it comes to modding your cars.
So let's get this straight. If you modify anything on your car in Germany, you have to have a certificate and be able to prove by the roadside to the police that have stopped you that everything you have done is ECE or TUV approved.
That's correct.
And if you can't do that, your car gets impounded.
Correct.
This is a full-on DCAT. Everybody knows you cannot use that on the road. It won't pass the MOT. It is for track use only, but it's not for motorsport. For motorsport, you need to have a sports cat, which is what this one is. This is a sports cat, and you can see it's etched on there. It's for motorsport only. And there is also the sticker on it that just says it's illegal to use on the road. Are you with me so far?
There is a bit of a grey area there with this, because you could technically put this on your car on the road, pass an MOT because it will pass emissions, but it's not allowed on the road. So why is that the case?
No, it's still illegal to use on the road because it's not EC approved.
And just because it's passed the MOT doesn't mean that's a go-ahead for you. So bear that one in mind. So why would you prefer to have these two given the choice?
So these two are both EC approved, and you can see the stamp on it on the plate there that shows that that one is EC approved. So these ones are good to go for road use. Okay, so when you are buying these type of things, make sure you do your research and you get an EC approved system. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but it means that your car is 100% legal on the road. Now our car is finished and it's got its new exhaust system on it. Now one of the reasons that that tuning company was prosecuted by DVSA was because they fitted a pop and bang map to the ECU of the vehicle. Now that is a problem for a number of reasons. One is because it increases the noise that the vehicle makes, and therefore that falls foul of the legislation around exhausts and modifying exhausts. Secondly, it's quite antisocial, and at car meets quite often police armed response units are sent out because we get complaints about gunshots and things like that. Now this is contentious, or it can be in the car community, but pop and bang maps can destroy your engine. We've got Dave here from MacG Racing, who is George's race manager, and Dave's had a lot of experience, and he's going to tell you about one thing in particular. Was a Seat Leon, I believe, that you bought.
Yeah, so the Seat Leon that George is racing this year, we bought it as a road car from the previous owner with a pop and bang map on it. When we've taken that engine apart, you can actually see on the pistons and everything a lot of detonation, so that engine is massively deteriorating the quality of it. And that's why you'll have breakdowns, and that's why everybody thinks they're tuning their engine too high, much power, and that's why they're failing. They're not. They're failing because people are just throwing fuel into the engine when it's coming off throttle, and all it's doing is doing that noisy, horrible banging. And all it's doing is igniting fuel in the chamber and killing the piston rings and destroying your engine.
Ideal. So what would be your advice to anyone who's thinking about putting a pop and bang map on their car?
Don't, because all it does is destroys your engine.
So now we've got this exhaust fitted on the RS police car, it's probably worth mentioning the difference between cars that sound a particular way from factory and of course cars that are modified to sound that way. We recently did a video between a Hyundai i30N and we actually called out Corsa owners. So Kev, on that exact point, what do you have to say when it comes to exhausts that sound that way from factory and of course cars that are illegally modified to sound louder than they should have been?
It's a common misconception that the exhaust is making the car overrun or pop and bang.
Yes.
So it's actually in the factory calibration. So some cars do have that from factory. Some Volkswagen Audi Group cars, for example. You mentioned the i30N. Interesting point. We've seen a lot of vehicles over the years where you'll have it on release from OEM and you'll get a brand new car, say an RS3 for example, and it sounds quite aggressive. There's a lot of pops and bangs. It goes in for a couple of services and they update the software in the control module and it gets quieter and quieter over time.
Interesting.
Not 100% certain why. I believe it is a sort of noise pollution based thing.
Okay, yeah.
Something with the manufacturer, is possibly heat related, as we've discussed previously with issues with engines, but it's certainly something manufacturers do, is they will remove some of that as time goes by, as with some of these cars, especially in this current day and age. I think you'll find less and less OEM cars having that kind of style noise.
Why is it you think then that something like a Lamborghini can be so loud? And then maybe the driver of, I don't know, a Renault Clio might feel so offended that he's, of course, not allowed a loud car, whereas, of course, the Lamborghini Aventador driver can. What do you reckon the common sense is there?
Interesting point, that. Lamborghini actually has a case study almost there. They're a low-volume manufacturer, so they don't quite have to meet the same regulation as, let's say, Volkswagen Audi Group again, because it's a parent company. So you can take two vehicles from both manufacturers that predominantly use the same engine. The Lamborghini may not have to use a gasoline particulate filter, whereas the Audi version of it will do. So that will act as a muffler in itself, irrespective of how the car is mapped and or tuned. And what you'll find is quite often something like Lamborghini will have more aggressive level of calibration from factory than the Audi, because it wants to have that sort of provenance over and above.
Okay, so now our car is back up on the ramps and we can see the system that's been fitted on it today. So, Kev, I believe that's what we're looking for, isn't it?
That's your E-mark there on that plaque. This system here comes with basically a stack of paperwork. Certificate which has each part number from every part of the system. In the certificate, it means you're fully legal with that. Valve system as well, so it works with the sport mode and the performance mode of the vehicle, so it's slightly louder when it's open, it's nice and quiet when it's shut.
And it complies with all the noise stuff as well, so it's no louder than the factory system.
Exactly that.
Excellent.
Sounds better, but it's no louder.
There we go, it's all about the sound. So if we follow it along, we see there's another...
Yep, correct.
Another stamp there.
And then you've got another one sat in here.
Up there is our sports cat as well.
Yeah, so the downpipe obviously goes up above the subframe onto the turbo. Can't quite see the catalyst at this point from this angle, but as you showed in previously, catalyst is E-marked and has the EC certificate marking on there.
Excellent.
So you're fully legal.
Right, so we're all good to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pull it down and go down the plate.
Let's see what it sounds like. So the Smart Mark, which stands for Safe Modification and Responsible Tuning, is run by the PAAA. Now the PAAA stands for Performance Automobile Aftermarket Association, and what they do is they have their members, which Milltek are one, and it kind of governs all of the aftermarket industry, and it's just to make sure that people are doing stuff right. Now the PAAA also can lobby the government, and you know, some of the rules around the catalytic converters can get really complicated, and if you've got something like a Mitsubishi Evo, then you're going to struggle to get a catalytic converter for that, either from Mitsubishi or a proper E-marked aftermarket version. Now the PAAA have got that weight to start lobbying the government to see whether there's any legislation that can be changed in order to make it easier for the aftermarket industry to produce these parts for vehicles like the Mitsubishi Evo or even this one here. Right, so we can't leave you hanging. Before we go, whilst we're still here at Milltek, let's give it a little rev and you can hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, I started on a 50 mil lens. Now I'm about to bag 50 million. I can shoot all day, I got stamina. Turtleneck on with my camera, yeah. Stay creamy, man, that's what they say. Shoes laced up and I came to play. Yeah, I'm first team, I'm a superstar. They call me Cream, like Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah, you have to face it, let's get back to basics. I'ma take the shot.